Hi guys, in this video I'm going to talk about Rakan's build, both itemization, runes, and max order. Rakan is actually one of my signature champs, so please enjoy. Uh, so first off, we're going to talk about summoner spells. For summoner spells, you're going to want Flash, and for your second spell, you're going to want Ignite or Heal. In lanes where you have kill pressure, like with a Draven, you're going to want to take Ignite. And otherwise, heal is super underrated on Rakan, is good for turning around fights. Alright, for starting items, I think Relic Shield is the best option by far. Relic Shield gives Rakan the tankiness and health regen to be a durable laner. He also now counts as a melee champion, so he gets to execute minions from a higher HP. Alright, let's talk about first base. So Rakan is a champion that benefits a lot from extra movement speed. It allows him to catch up to allies to use E, whether to start a fight with EW or catch up to allies to use E when escaping. It's good for W as well because it allows him to get in range to get a good knockup, and it's also good for ulti to be able to catch enemies with the charm. So just movement speed super good on Rakan. His boots of choice is usually Lucidity boots. Rakan benefits a lot from ability haste, getting more heals, shields, and knockups, as well as lowering that important ultimate cooldown for more plays. Yeah, he also benefits from the flash cooldown as well. The other option I would consider as well is mobility boots. You do lose out on in-combat movement speed, which is good for Rakan, but it'll help you influence the map more, especially if your team needs help. The last option you can consider for your first base is Dark Seal. It's worth considering because it gives you extra combat stats early, and Rakan is also very good at preserving his Dark Seal stacks because he's very mobile and hard to catch, and he gets stacks pretty easily as well through like roams and skirmishes. Alright, let's talk Mythic now. I think Shrelia's is by far Rakan's best Mythic. The active synergizes well with his ultimate for creating engages from a long distance. Also, the E with the Shrelia's passive allows for easy saves and can also enable chase opportunities. However, I think Radiant Virtue is worth a mention on him for teamfight durability, but it's a little bit too expensive on a support budget, so that's why I just prefer Shrelia's. Alright, now let's talk mid to late game options. First, I want to talk about Zhonya's. So, the stasis effect is really good on Rakan for helping to soak cooldowns after you engage. And then after your stasis, you can escape with an E. And the other part of why it's good is because just AP, CDR, armor are just all very good stats for Rakan. I will say the downside of Zhonya's is that it can be quite expensive to complete after they increase the price. So it will feel really bad to build. Next up, we're going to talk about Redemption. The reason why Redemption is really good on Rakan is just the heal and shield power are really nice on him. And also because it works with his Q, E, and passive. Also, the build path is just really good. It's building out of Kindle Gem, Forbidden Idol, and you get such a cheap spike at just 2,300 gold. So Redemption is a very good item on him. Just for any support, it's worth a mention to watch Full Wardstone. It's always a solid buy after level 13 because it's only costs you 1,100 gold. It gives good stats. It gives you an extra ward slot. Good for vision control. It's just it's a bargain. You just need to make sure you buy it close to level 13. The last option I want to talk about is Zeke's. Zeke's is a solid choice if you want to boost your carry's damage. Yeah, that's about it. What I will say is honorable mention. The enchanter items are actually buildable by Rakan because he does have decent heals and shields. So it could be worth a consideration for Ardent Censor if you have an 80 comp or Staff of Flowing Water for AP comps. Yeah, especially if they're very fed. All right, let's talk max order now. I see a lot of people max Rakan differently, and my personal opinion is that Rakan's all of his spells are good to max. I usually put each point into the spell depending on the specific game situation. So let's talk about Q first. You put points into Q if the laning is kind of neutral, but you're not really looking to W in. Then the extra points in Q is nice for trading. The heal is really insane now they buffed it. You can end up out sustaining most poke as long as you land them, as well as it does good damage. Next, I'm going to talk about W. I do like to have W on a lower CD if the enemy team has a lot of immobile champions that are easy to land W on. I see a common mistake that people make is they just always max this spell, but then they're not able to connect the knockup onto the mobile champions, so they don't actually get any value out of it. These champions are like Ezreal, stuff with dashes, blinks. You actually won't get much value out of this spell. Lastly, I want to talk about E. So I actually think E is Rakan's best scaling spell. But the key thing to note here is it doesn't provide much in lane. So the reason why it's the best scaling spell is because the cooldown goes down by 8 seconds and the total shielding goes from 100 to 300. I start putting points into E outside the laning phase as soon as possible. Yeah. All right, now let's go over the runes. So I always have a hard time finding the runes. Yeah, okay, here it is. All right, for Rakan, there are 2 good options for Keystone. The first one is Guardian. Now Guardian is easy to proc on Rakan with his E, so you always end up getting really good value from this rune. The Resolve tree in general is just really good on him as well as a primary tree, since he benefits from Shield Bash, Bone Plating, and Revitalize. Oh, actually, Bone Plating can also be second win if you're not against an all-in lane. The second option for Keystones is going to be the Glacial Augment. Glacial Augment is good against immobile carries that can't get out of the slow zone. So like Jinx is an example. And now let's talk about secondary tree. For secondary tree, you can usually go Domination for Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter. You can also consider Relentless Hunter if you think it's a game you're going to be roaming more. I think it's a preference. Yeah, Ultimate Hunter has more playmaking, but Relentless gives you better tempo and roams. Yeah, so that about sums up the Rakan itemization and build. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Bye bye.